So you just had the chance to visit Expo. What are your impressions?
Well, I think it's a great expo, just the magnitude of it and the variety of countries that are participating and just the ambience, many people, young and old. It's great. It's just awesome.
And do you think that events, big international events like this, can help in the international dialogue that we need with the conflicts that we have at this moment?
Yes, I think occasions like this are very important for people to understand one another's culture, cuisines, traditions, and just to have interaction with, I'm sure there are lots of Italians who are having an opportunity to interact with countries they would otherwise never have seen or interacted with. But also amongst countries themselves who are participating. I think it's a great way of understanding diversity and understanding that diversity is actually a strength rather than a threat.
You are the president of the African Union Commission, so you have a nice observatory on the African continent. Africa is a continent so rich in resources with such a big potential, but still troubled with some problems. What can we expect in the next 20 years from Africa?
I think in the next 20 years you'll see a very different Africa, because I think Africans are very mobilized and they want to make sure that Africa goes on a trajectory of shared prosperity, of peace, of making sure that the people of the continent benefit from these rich resources. We are going to see an Africa that's going to concentrate a lot more on investing in its people, in its young people, training in all areas, high-level skills, technical skills, vocational skills. We are seeing an Africa which is beginning to realize that just as it was important for women to participate in our traditional life, it's very important for women to participate in the modern life. Not only because it's their right, but because it makes economic, social, and cultural sense that you involve every talent in the development of our continent. You're going to see a continent that is going to be very connected. There's lots of infrastructure work to connect our capitals, to connect our commercial centers. We are going to see a continent that's going to be looking at industrialization, processing the food we produce. So you're going to see a continent that will increase intra-African trade and of course also increase global trade. And so I think in 20 years indeed you'll see a very different continent, a better continent with less conflict, more participatory democracy, and young people taking responsibility for, and women for driving the continent. Challenges will always be there, but who doesn't have challenges? We all do. And I think just the energy, the young people on the continent are gearing themselves to ensuring that they drive this continent, they shape its direction so that when they inherit it, it will be a better continent.
And my last question, you are the first woman to have such an important role in the African Union. What can be the women empowerment as an instrument to help the African future? So how important would be the role of women?
Well, the role of women is very important. First, they are numbers. They are more than half the population. Secondly, they give birth to the other half, which means they actually ensure the continuation of the human race, because nobody here can say they would have been here had they not been looked after, nurtured in their time of fragility by a woman. Secondly, women are the ones who socialize young men and women. They are the ones who ensure that they have food, they go to school, and so the role of women is very important. But if you put women in the economy, there are studies that show that those companies that are either run by women or have a lot of women in their management, in their boards, are more competitive than the ones that don't have. Women bring a variety of skills to the job, but also women multitask. They don't just look at one thing at a time. So there is lots of complementarity that will be brought by women. And if women and men work together, you get a very different result. But also their attitude is more around people, is more people-centered and family-centered. As you know, when women work, they use about 70% of their income on the household, compared to men who use only 30% of their income on the household. So the more income you have in the hands of women, the better the families, the better the communities, the better the world.